Little Nightmares 3 was just announced at this year's Gamescom opening night, with a full trailer showing new characters, scarier monsters, and stranger locations, all displaying a huge tone shift for the game, and most importantly, co-op gameplay. That's right, Little Nightmares is multiplayer now. The trailer debuts the appearance of two new never-seen-before children as main characters, and is being produced by the company Supermassive Games, the developers who took over after Tarsier Studios left to work on other projects. These two new children are wearing masks, similar to most other characters in the Little Nightmares series. Another interesting thing to note about these two is the way they are dressed, almost looking like they grew up in some sort of apocalyptic wasteland. The girl, whose name has been confirmed as Alone, with orange pigtails covered head to toe, complete with an aviator's helmet, tough-looking green jumpsuit, and in this scene, it also looks like she has a weapon tied to her back. And the boy, whose name has been confirmed as Low, wears a cape, as well as a bird mask, possibly to blend in with all the birds we see heavily emphasized in this trailer. I mean, there are birds everywhere. And these kids really do look like they've adapted to this corner of the Little Nightmares world, a lot of which seems to be a desert wasteland, which is reflected by this yellowy-orange color palette. And Little Nightmares 3 taking place in some sort of dangerous wasteland is further backed up by the name of the new location that the game will be happening in, the Nowhere, with the desert city the game starts in being called the Necropolis, which literally means dead city. And there is strong evidence within this trailer that the Nowhere location may actually be the same place that we see back in the Little Nightmares comics. You see, in this trailer, there is a heavy emphasis on mirrors, and as the trailer progresses, we are shown a repeating shot of a slow zoom into a cracked mirror with a heavy black smoke forming around it. And later on in the trailer, we see our two main characters traveling through a mirror, similar to what Six and Mono did with the televisions in Little Nightmares 2. The second issue of the Little Nightmares comics also sees mirrors play a huge role. In the comic, a group of kids break into an old abandoned house where there is an entire room filled with mirrors. And when these kids look into these mirrors, they're shown their greatest desires, like strength and height. But there's also an evil entity that can travel through these mirrors. This man in a bow tie whose head is made up of tentacles. Now, going off of that, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we finally see this character return in Little Nightmares 3, as he's the only character previously associated with mirrors, and in the official poster art for Little Nightmares 3, we do see the mirror in the same spot as the Thin Man was in the poster for the second game. Also, side note, anyone ever notice how the signal tower in the background of the Little Nightmares 2 poster art blends into the Thin Man's body, making it look like the Thin Man has Mono's bag on top of his head, foreshadowing the fact that Mono and the Thin Man were one and the same this whole time? And we also know that mirrors do have powerful properties in the world of Little Nightmares, like revealing the true appearance of the lady in the Runaway DLC, or at the end of the first game when Six used a mirror to reflect the lady's power back against her. But this isn't the only parallel that can be made between Little Nightmares 3 and the comics. In the first issue of the comics, we were introduced to this rainy city full of grotesque obese people that resemble the guests. And after the release of Little Nightmares 2, everyone just assumed that this was the Pale City that we were seeing here. But now, examining the trailer more closely, I think it becomes apparent from this scene here that the comic was actually taking place in the Nowhere. Because at the end of the trailer, we see the exact same thing. Hordes of grotesque, guest-like monsters shuffling through a rainy city. This scene almost exactly matches the one from the comics. Now that we've seen how Little Nightmares 3 connects back to the comics, what about the other Little Nightmares games? Because apart from these comic book connections, this game does feel lighter on the ties back to the rest of the Little Nightmares story, being the first Little Nightmares game to not feature Six in any way. However, I do think there are Easter eggs that can connect this game back to previous installments. Most notably, the symbol of the eye can be seen in this room where Lo and Alone are solving this piano puzzle together. The eye symbol is drawn on the wall, on the side of this block, and on this crayon, as well as in the main poster for the game, reminding us that even in this new world, we are still always under the control of the monster in the signal tower. Watch my theory video for more info on that. It's in the iCard. It's one of my best videos ever. I promise you won't regret watching it. So, moving on, there's also this giant baby doll that was revealed stomping about the city and chasing after the kids, which may actually be connected to Little Nightmares 2. In the Little Nightmares 2 concept art, you can see a very similar baby roaming around the buildings. So that begs the question, could this monster baby have possibly come from the Pale City originally? And another thing to note about this baby, is her eye. The first time we can actually see her face, we see one of her eyes squinted shut. Then a few shots later, she is shown chasing Lo and Alone with that same eye glowing. Then right after, she is attempting to grab the kids out of a building, which is full of what looks like people that have been turned to stone, meaning that this baby doll's glowing eye likely has the same effect of the similar glowing eyes from Little Nightmares 1, turning whatever gets caught in the light to stone. Now, we only get to see one other monster in this trailer besides the dolls and the guests, which is this bizarre creature made out of hands, crawling out of a pipe behind Lo and Alone. Likely some sort of contorted human centipede abomination, more in line with the body distortion of the janitor or teacher. And it does seem like there's going to be some smaller enemies as well, like these swarms of bugs we can see here chasing Lo and Alone, similar to the leeches or hands from the first two games. And the last shot of the trailer is probably the most eerie, featuring Lo and Alone standing in this enormous cavern where machines roam around, dropping off loads of this weird red substance into a huge pile that looks like some sort of strange, surreal trash heap, which seems to be entirely made of some sort of slimy red substance, which we can also see inside jars surrounding Lo and Alone. And this area seems like it is part of some sort of larger sewer level, which looks to be one of 3 locations we were shown in this trailer. The other 2, of course, being the city of Necropolis and the town that is presumably shown in the comics. But honestly, I think the most exciting part about this game is the fact that we are finally getting multiplayer. Solving the classic Little Nightmares puzzles, figuring out how to avoid monsters, or flying around with these cute little umbrellas they added to this game will be so much more fun when you can actually play with a friend. Needless to say, I am very excited for this game. Little Nightmares is one of my favorite horror games out there. From the atmosphere, to the graphics, to the character design or color palette, this game excels in almost every way as a piece of art. And I will definitely make sure to keep you guys updated about this one as we move closer to the 2024 release date. So, sorry for not posting for like a month. What actually happened was I was so excited when I heard of the release of Garten of Banban 4 that I actually just became like completely incapacitated for a full month. Like the excitement was just so severe over that masterpiece of a game. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. It was... But you know, I mean like how could you really blame me? Garten of Banban is just... It really is peak. But, you know, if you did like my Little Nightmares video, which, to be fair, will never be as good as Garten of Banban, you know, you could leave a like or a comment or subscribe or, you know, anything like that to boost all the engagement and watch time and other stuff that I just pretend not to care about. And goodbye. I'll see you in the next video.